Today's Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, and today I want to talk about this Bible verse, Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. And I think that this is already true. I think this prophecy has been fulfilled for probably hundreds of years now, and it has to do with the free martins. So almost everybody today who identifies as male, is born with a penis, they are a free martin. They actually have the skeleton of a female. It's just because of testosterone exposure in the uterus, they come out with a penis. And a lot of them, they get help along the way. Their puberties are enhanced by taking drugs, by taking hormones. And that's just the truth of where you live. A lot of people know the secret. A lot of people already know that. And I don't know. I think a lot of them, they think that they're like the new better thing, Superman. The whole point of alchemy is they believe that by joining the male and the female, they can transcend and become something better. But really, they're just eunuchs that are abusing hormones. And yeah, so this is a biblical truth that anybody who fully wakes up to the human anatomy thing, the skull and bone thing, anybody who fully wakes up and can admit what they see outside will come to this conclusion that real men are extremely rare. You can go months without seeing a man with man bone structure outside. And most people they won't be able to see the forest for the trees because all their brothers, all their uncles are all free martins. Everybody in their town is a free martin except for one or two scrawny people that mostly stay to themselves. So that's just the way it is. It's hard to wake up to the free martin thing because that's all that you're used to. You're only used to seeing free martins everywhere. And you just have to be really good at look at the MTF celebrities and how masculine they are, and then keep asking yourself, where are these people in public that present male? And you'll even see the people in public who you see with the very masculine bone structure, they'll be wearing dresses and little Minnie Mouse voices. You're like, where are these people in real life presenting male? And you just won't see them. You're just so used to free martins that either you're in denial or you can't see the forest for the trees. So here's the context, Isaiah chapter 13. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amoz did see. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones, I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gather together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid, pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another, their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light, the sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Okay, so I'll just point out here that this is setting the stage or giving us context for the gold of Ophir statement. And this is end times. This is the end, the big one. The end when the sun goes dark and the moon goes dark. This is only going to happen once, and it's in the very end. So that's the context. Isaiah is talking about end times. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So this statement, I don't really know the context of how it fits with everything around it, because right, Isaiah is talking about, well, saying that God is going to punish So this punishment, I will make a man more precious than fine gold. It seems like if you were just reading this, is it like in those end days, just all the men are going to be killed from God's wrath? Maybe that's what it is, but I just see this applied in a much more general thing. I just look outside and I can tell because I can see the Freemartin thing now. So this is just something, I don't know that this is tied in exactly with the day that the sun goes dark and the moon goes dark. All of a sudden, all the men are going to die. I think that this is just general, talking about general things. I don't know. What do you guys think about the placement of this verse alongside the other ones? Because I don't think that if you just read it at face value like this, I don't think that it's totally obvious that it's saying, oh, in the last days, there's not going to be a lot of men around. But I think that it's just the way that it is. Anyways. But then, because here, the next verse starts with a therefore. You know, when someone says therefore, the thing that they say before, it's like, here's the reason. If you go blah, 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 therefore, usually what you say before a therefore, it's like a reason for doing. Therefore, I'm going to do this. So that's more context on this verse. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place. So it's like beforehand. Because of the fact that there's natural men are so extremely rare, the end is here. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chaste roe. So here, I just want to keep reading this verse. Isaiah is one of my favorite books of the Bible. It's so beautiful to read, and just the literature aspect of the Bible. You don't even have to be a believer, but reading enough of the Bible, I think that you'll just be a believer. But I just think it's so crazy that I read so much garbage. I was forced to read so much garbage in high school, just in public education, but nobody ever showed us excerpts of the Bible of just beautiful, poetic language. People just make it seem like, oh, it's all about genealogies. Just skip through the genealogies. That's so few and far between. There's so much beautiful language in the Bible. And it shall be as the chaste roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Every one that is found shall be thrust through, and every one that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Also, I kept these verses because it just shows the grim reality of end times, of how bad it's going to be. Their children also shall be dashed into pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. I think that this is like all hell is going to break loose. When the big one happens, when the giant earthquake happens, when the sun goes dark, when the moon goes dark, when Jesus is coming in the clouds, they're going to try to play it off as an alien invasion. I think that all hell breaks loose, and yeah, people are going to be just murdering one another. Think of all the programming, and so many video games these days are all about like surviving in your compounds and forming groups and going and killing people, and it's going to get gruesome in the end. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eye shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency. So I personally believe that English is ancient Chaldean, and Babylon, Chaldea, I think that we are... The Chaldean system is just like a mystical system, and I think it's like Mystery Babylon. Anyways, continuing. Shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, I think America will probably get... I mean, just think of it. In the day of the big earthquake, and when all hell breaks loose, America is probably going to get just destroyed the most, I'm guessing, in that day. And I think things like California could rip off into the ocean. New York City, think of all the pre-programming for New York City getting taken out by tidal waves. And I think America is going to get really, at least USA, is going to just be very decimated in the end. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places, or in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So I just want to show a verse from the very next chapter. Sometimes in the Bible, it's worth remembering, like, oh, I know that there's some interesting stuff that happens near this or near that. And very close to the golden wedge of Ophir statement and talking about the end time stuff, this is just a very, very important verse from the Bible that everybody should know about, and it should make it so that nobody uses the NIV. So here it is, Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Okay, so much going on here. One thing, how this gets translated, we'll get into that in a second, but it's very blasphemous how this gets translated in the NIV. Notice how Lucifer is called son of the morning. Okay. And then here, I just think it's a known thing, should be a known thing, that what Satan wants to do is be like God. That's something I like to think about is, well, I don't like to think about it, it's just something that makes sense to me, the connections. Think of all the insane surveillance that happens. It's because Satan is jealous of God's omnipotence. Satan wants to be like God. That's why Satan tries to just keep information. Satan is like this crazy hoarder. Think of all the information that they have on us. They probably keep every little email that anybody has ever sent out ever. And it's because Satan is trying to be like God. Oh, and this, in the sides of the north. The north is outside. Whenever a shill posts a flat earth map, it's inside out. Just think of a flat earth map and how all the northern land gets crushed into the center. We know that the north is huge. The north is huge expanses of land. That's why the north is the outside. That's why it says the sides of the north. Because it's the outside. The north is the side. It's the outside versus south, inside. And continuing on, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. That's what Satan wants to be, like God. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof? That is what modern war is about, is going back and finding all the walled cities. I mean, they found them all already, but going and destroying all the old world stuff. It's really sad to see what some of these cities used to look like, and they just demolish it and replace it with crappy skyscraper stuff. And Dresden is just an example. They take all these old world buildings and they destroy it, and they claim that it's war doing it, but it's just controlled demolition because they just want to obscure history. There's these walled cities everywhere, all over Earth. And anyways, there's a lot of stuff in the Bible about cities that are left desolate and then going in and rebuilding the cities. And just, that's another truth that it just clicks with me, and it clicks with the Bible so much when you know that there are these giant masonry cities all over Earth that people have been occupying for a long, long time. They just go in and refurbish it, and they'll get desolate again, and etc. Have you ever, even today, there's a lot of places where you're like, where did all this infrastructure, like, who built all these buildings? Even today, it seems so grand for how many people live there. Anyways. So let's get into this. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. Look at how the NIV translates. So here's the KJV again. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? They get rid of the Lucifer thing because they don't want people to know what is going on. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star. So The NIV translates O Lucifer as morning star, and they say morning star, son of the dawn. And the reason that this is extremely blasphemous is because in Revelation chapter 22, verse 16, I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. So in Revelation chapter 22, Jesus tells us that he is the morning star. But then if you read the NIV, Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12, they replace O Lucifer with morning star. They're calling Lucifer the morning star. So the NIV is a completely satanic translation. And it just shows you how bad we are, that almost every church out there that I've ever heard of, they use the NIV. That's just your plastic Christian church. They use the NIV. And the NIV literally translates Lucifer into a title that Jesus tells us in Revelation. So here's another verse in Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach. So there's other clues in the Bible that men have been rare at certain points. I think a lot of times it was because of war and maybe some, I'll show a verse in a second. Here's an interesting, just standalone verse, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 6. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hand on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Just think of how normalized it is today think of like a giant pregnant belly. People think that that's like manly, to have a giant beer gut, and it's because they're free martins with these inflated uterus. They have this dormant uterus inside their body, and when they get older, probably because their hormones go out of whack when they're older, their uterus swells. I mean, they look pregnant for a reason. And I think a lot of times when they tell people, oh, we took your appendix out, I think they're taking a free martin and like removing their swollen uterus, and they just don't tell them. I mean, the people they put them under, so. Anyways, here's another interesting, in Genesis, maybe the reason that Lot's daughters got their father drunk is because men were really rare at this point in time. And so they were just desperate, and that's what they did. So here's another instance, and this is something that's easy to forget that happened. In the Gospels, when Herod hears about Jesus being born, he goes out and kills all the young boys, all the young men, and well, not men yet, obviously. So here's just another instance of men have been destroyed in times past. I guess I'm going to bring one big point that I haven't brought up yet. The whole free martin thing, it's a way to have a slave class. In times past, controlling the male population has been just a big thing. To control, the first thing that they would do when they would go into another place is, we'll just destroy all the men, kill all the boys, and they would want to completely wipe out the men of the other tribes. And so, but the controllers, they don't like to have to actually go out and get their hands dirty and kill people if they don't have to. So what has happened is, rather than going out and just killing all the men, they've created free martins. They've created a huge class of free martins. So now they don't have the men problem anymore. They don't have men to worry about. It's just all free martins, and the only men are carefully guarded and wearing dresses, being drag queens, and that's how they get a giant slave class. And that's, I think, the story of the free martins. It's a way for them to guarantee that they don't have to worry about men anymore, because what men? They're all going to be free martins. And you could probably get into the psychology of it a little bit. I do believe that women are more easily just led by doing what is popular. And I mean, I think that you can even see that think of the way that you, like, free martins and castrati act. The castrati, they like to pretend that they're all groupie, and they like to go to the bathroom together in groups and stuff, but that's all a front. That's just a play. they're backstabbing each other all the time, and they really aren't that friendly with one another. Strats, Swire, they're so much more independent, and if you really think about it, free martins are the ones that they have these groups, these tight-knit groups, these friend groups, and anyways, you could get into it, but I think that they just know that a free martin is more easy to control, and the eunuchs are just easier to control in general because of they don't have the same reproductive capabilities of just natural people. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's not, I've talked about it a lot before. I guess not this specific thing, but I do think that the whole free martin thing got as big as it did because they wanted this slave class of not men. Okay, so the CIA, they used to call the CIA the pickle factory, and I guess they tell you that it's because the building used to be next to a pickle factory or something. It's the baby boom, the baby boomers. When you think of a baby boomer, you think of a dumpy free martin, and I think it's because they were created that way. They make sure that that the baby comes out like a free martin. So, and without getting too much into it, it's probably a pretty easy thing to guarantee happens, because free martin sperm, I believe, is only capable of making other free martins or women. So as long as they have free martin sperm, they can guarantee more free martins by just hitting them with T, hitting the pregnant woman with testosterone at the right time. I think would guarantee that the fetus comes out with a penis. And yeah, so this is just, I want to talk about a few things I forgot to mention in my previous video. If you didn't watch my last video, you can go watch it. Another clue that people know about the Seeker everywhere. The Hydra is still a huge thing in India. And look at how they talk about eunuchs, intersex people. The truth has always been hidden in plain sight. So India knows about these people, the eunuchs, the intersex people, transgender people. They have so many different names for these people. Something that I should have talked about is this in Jurassic Park. Do you know the whole point of, or one of the big stories or storylines, whatever you want to call it, in Jurassic Park is they're all females, but then they start reproducing. And here, putting the two female clips together, and notice that Laura Dern is the one with the male. So the male clip is what the female actress, and this one has the two female things. But anyways, Life Finds a Way is all about this. With only women stuff, life will still find a way. Life finds a way, even with nothing but women. The hen does not completely change into a rooster, however. The transition is limited to making the bird phenotypically male. Okay, they say this, but life is stranger than fiction, and your backyard chicken can undergo a spontaneous sex reversal and become a rooster. More disturbing, though, a hen whose left ovary has failed and consequently has elevated testosterone levels in her body will actually... There's a huge meme about the one ball thing. A lot of free martins, they only have one ball that works. Such a hen will grow a larger comb, longer wattles, male pattern plumage, and spurs. Moreover, this hen will also adopt aggressive rooster behaviors. You might be thinking to yourself, just because a hen with high testosterone levels grows spurs, long wattles, and takes to crowing like a rooster does not make her in fact a rooster. It just makes her a very butch hen. If that was all that happened in a spontaneous sex reversal of a hen, you would be correct. There's more to it, though. When a hen's left ovary fails and sufficient testosterone levels are reached in her body, the hen's dormant right-side gonad becomes activated. When the dormant right-sided gonad is switched on, it develops into a male sex organ called an ovotestes. Scientists have found that an ovotestes will produce sperm. Okay, so there is a slave class of free martins. It's the bottom of the pyramid, or all the inverted in utero, and they can produce sperm and they can impregnate women. And that doesn't mean that they weren't switched. That doesn't mean that they're not a hen turned into a rooster. Anyways, I guess the main point of this is just continuing the thought on the in utero trans, the eunuchs, the intersex. I don't know the best word. Just, it is what it is. You just have to go watch my video on The Secret, explained simply. There's more than two types of people, and the lines have been very blurred, and they abuse alchemy today, and so they can blur the lines even more. But this is all Satan's plan. Black is white, up is down, male is female, female is male. But the truth has been revealed, and there's no stopping it. Jesus Christ is the Messiah, and God bless everyone. Thank you guys for all the support.